Hey guys, Jackie, welcome back to my channel, and in today's video I'm going to show you some tips and tricks to make your makeup last all day long while looking flawless. Before we move into makeup, we should always have our skin prepped and primed. I prepped my face with some moisturizer and sunscreen, and I have primed my face with this e.l.f. Power Grip Primer. You should have a really nice and tacky primer because we do want our makeup to last all day long. And if you guys are wondering, this is actually from the amount of coasters I've been getting in this month alone. And it's all work-related stress. I'm like this close to quitting my job. And the next step to looking flawless, you actually want to use a really watery foundation or a serum type tinted moisturizer, anything that's water based and light. I'm going in with this Morphe 2 skin tint. I have it in the shade Hints of Honey. The trick is to not overdo it, so I would use the most minimal amount of product needed. I'm only applying it in areas where I want some even skin tone, so where I see discoloration, anything like that, that's where I'll be applying this, and only in those areas because we'll be blending it out to have a nice even skin tone base. Looking in the camera, I see that my cheeks here are noticeably less pigmented as the rest of my face, so I'm going to be focusing it mainly on my cheeks and a little bit in the temple area to kind of blend in the pigmentation from my forehead. Okay, the next step is kind of gross. We're actually going to use our fingertips to blend in everything. It's gonna feel super weird. I hate the feeling too, but trust me, trust the process. It's gonna come out so flawless and seamlessly blending in. And notice how I am avoiding the under eye areas. This is because we're only going to be applying concealer in those areas. We want the least amount of products in those areas to avoid creasing our concealer. What you want to do next is to wet your sponge with your favorite setting spray. The makeup spray I'm using is this Milani Make It Last Original. I have been recently loving this a lot. It has an amazing spray and it smells really fresh on. That does not linger. Taking the sponge, you want to lightly tap your face all over, pushing the foundation into your primer for that better grip. Next up is concealer. I am taking this Maybelline Instant Asia Wine. I have it in the shade Sand, and I'm going to lightly put it in the inner corners as well as winging it out on the outer corners. I want to give the illusion that we're lifting our face. Now here's a trick. You have to let the concealer sit for a little bit. This is a time when it's going to start to oxidize and you're going to see much better color payoff. Another tip is to use a separate sponge for your under eye concealer. I have this tiny one here. I'm going to very carefully push in the concealer where we laid it, and then whatever is left on the sponge, I'm going to take it into the under eye socket area where the product bags are. To diffuse any harsh line from our concealer, I'm going to take my face sponge that we used earlier, and I'm just going to go over the triangular area where our concealer and foundation would meet. So it's going to be the highest point of your cheekbone as well as the temple area. So moving on, we're going into bronzer or contour. I'm going to be using this palette by e.l.f. It is their cream contour palette. I love how you get a variety of shades. You get contours as well as your bronzers. I highly recommend using cream products because it's super easy to diffuse without any harsh lines, and it's going to give you that really flawless look. Taking the lightest shade of the contour palette and sucking in my cheeks, I'm going to see where the hollow of my cheekbones are, and I'm going to draw a really short line. Don't overdraw a line because you want your makeup to look effortless, so put the least amount of effort into it. Then we're going to blend upwards into the temple as well as onto our cheekbone. Another tip is to set your face with your setting spray every time you layer another product on. This is going to further set your makeup, making it super long lasting. Now we're going to move into blush. As I said, I love cream products. Because you want to be consistent, you should not be going back and forth between cream products and powder products. That's just going to make it super blotchy. So stick to one thing. Either do all powder or all cream. Going in with this Rare Beauty blush, I'm going to be using the shade Hope, and I love the miniature sizes because a little goes such a long way. So I don't recommend applying it directly onto your cheekbones. Instead, I'm going to take it onto one of my fingers first, and I'm going to rub it ever so slightly to further diffuse the product onto my fingers, and then I'm going to go in with my fingertips for application along the cheekbones as well as into the temple. And the trick for this is to use designated fingers. You want to differentiate between the fingers with products on there and the fingers that you will be using for diffusing the product. And again, between each layer, you should always set your face. Okay, now that our face is almost done, we're only missing a highlighter, but I'm going to jump into the eyes really quickly. So for the eyes, you want to keep it super minimum. I'm going to just lightly fill in my brows. I like to furrow my brows when I do them because that gives me an idea of where my arch is, and it helps me to further map out my eyebrows. For the eyelid, I want to keep it super simple, so I'm going to just use one eyeshadow shade. I've actually been dying to use this ColourPop palette. Look at all the peachy golden shades. It looks so delicious, and I think I'm gonna go in with this shade right here. It is in the shade Half Baked. Taking a super fluffy brush, we're just going to be applying it all over the lid. You could be super messy with this because it doesn't really matter. Next, I'm going to show you my mascara routine to hold my curls. I have straight Asian lashes that could not hold up curl for the life of them. So I'm going to show you the products and in which I use them to hold my curl. First, curl lashes. I don't really have a technique on how to curl lashes, but I just like using a smaller curler because it fits my eye shape the best. And then after that, we're going to go in with our first mascara, which is this Maybelline Sky High. I have it in the shade Blackest Black, and this is not the waterproof one. They work just the same, but the waterproof one is impossible to get off, so I highly recommend just getting the regular one. It works just the same. So what you want to do is just take a light coat. Make sure you get every single lash, separating them with the brush. Don't worry about it getting on your lid like I did because we're going to clean it up in a little bit. But when that's drying, you want to take your second mascara. This is the one that I'm using, the Tarte Surfer Curl. I have raved about this on my channel for the longest time. I am in love with this. I just recently repurchased it for the 4th time. Absolutely in love, and I love the formula. The formula itself is more on the drying side, so I find that it really helps hold my curls because it kind of acts like a waterproof mascara. Again, there's no technique, just make sure that your lashes are coated in this mascara. And if it does end up looking a little clumpy, right before it dries, take a clean spoolie and just comb over everything. And then taking a Q-tip, you're just going to clean up any mishaps. Voila, you could tell a difference. I did my left side here. Taking your favorite translucent powder, you're going to set your face right on top of the setting spray. And then you're going to set your face one last time. For highlighter, I'm going to use a powder one because we just laid powder on our face. I'm going in with this one by e.l.f. It is their Bite Size Face Duo in the shade Lychee. And I'm lazy, so I'm just going to use my fingertip. I'm going to lightly tap into the pan. And remember what we said, one finger for application and then the other one for diffusing. So I'm going to use my middle finger to apply and follow up with my ring finger to diffuse. You could even use them together because it will help diffuse the product. And then for the finale, we need one final layer of setting spray. And this one, we're just going to let it dry naturally. Now, do you guys understand why I'm running out of this so quickly?